ज़रूर से इंश्योर करेगा कि आप इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर दें। हमारा जो फ्री टेलीग्राम ग्रुप चैट है उसको लोग पिन कमेंट में डाल देंगे, जाके उसको चेकआउट करिए, उसको ज्वाइन करिए, लोगों से बातें करिए और हमारे मेंबरशिप्स को भी ज़रूर देखिएगा। नाउ सिट बैक एंड एंजॉय। Now, actually, let's move to the runner-ups. And यहाँ पे मैं I want to credit the Cricinfo team because I think you guys were the first one who had the balls to go public about Klaassen getting 23 crore. Let's start with that itself. आपको क्या लगता है, have they overpaid their players? क्योंकि अभी से 45 crore बचे हुए हैं. Although they have solid retentions, but क्या वो पैसे बचा सकते थे कहीं ना कहीं? What do you think about that?
I mean, if you want to, I think they've played smart in that sense. If they had to retain 5 players, then you have a bucket of 75 crores. वो bucket में से जितना आपको distribute करना है जिसको वो कर सकते हो. You have that flexibility to do that, and that is exactly what they've done. So वो bucket में से even if they've divided it the way they like, so there's nothing wrong with it. It's very smart on their from the management to have actually revealed what they did, because obviously जब तक वो न्यूज़ बाहर नहीं आई किसी को पता नहीं चला कि how much is the top retention going to be paid या कितना हो सकता है. The moment that news kind of came out, a lot of people, a lot of teams, a lot of players started thinking, okay, 23 crore, maybe, that's a, value of somebody who's of Klaassen's experience or class. So maybe there is, a market correction or something that we deserve. So maybe that could have hampered negotiations, or that could have driven negotiations of players with some other teams. Who knows? So I think it was very publicly, very a master stroke of sorts from Sunrisers to kind of actually, retain the players that they did at that price, and also making it aware to the wider public that these were the amounts. So maybe it was to just get the other teams thinking. I don't know, but
So they did leak it.
I don't know. They leaked it or they told it to whoever, whatever it is. The news was obviously out before the announcement officially. How it came out is something that I'm not privy to, but I'm sure that the fact that so many outlets had it is a kind of an indication that I think the ownership of the team probably knew what they were doing in that sense. So they only distributed the bucket in the way they wanted to, and kudos to them for actually having managed to retain the core group that orchestrated a sensational turnaround. I mean, Pat Cummins at a slightly lower price band than what he earned last year, but continues to remain as captain. Klaassen with the impact that he had in the middle order. Nitish Reddy is somebody who they scouted a few years ago, even before he came into the wider consciousness of the public. I mean, before he became that domestic player who had a good IPL season this year. So they've looked at him for a few years. They've seen this guy grow as a player, and they've backed him now. And Nitish Reddy is somebody who owes his success to the Sunrisers Hyderabad. So well done to them in retaining the core group that got them to the final, and they look to do one better next year.
I think SRH के साथ एक मेन इशू ये भी था that the players that they have retained, अगर ये by chance auction में जाते ही they would be big bucks attracting, and so they did not really have a big choice there, and they had to do what they had to do. So even I really appreciate what they have done and the strategy that they've pulled off. But यहाँ पे अगर हम लोग इसको एनालाइज करें फ्रॉम द व्यू पॉइंट ऑफ कि किन प्लेयर्स को टारगेट करना पड़ सकता है इन दी ऑक्शन में, इफ़ यू लुक एट दी रिटेंशंस, बेसिकली इन लोगों ने अपना बैटिंग तो सेटल कर दिया. द एक्सप्लोसिव आइडेंटिटी दैट दे हैड लास्ट ईयर विद द ओपनर्स लाइक अभिषेक एंड ट्रैविस हेड एंड देन समबडी लाइक नीतीश रेड्डी इन द मिडिल ऑर्डर, दे हैव एक्चुअली किल्ड इट विद द रिटेंशंस देयर. एंड क्लासन ऑफ कोर्स, दैट गोज विदाउट सेइंग. The issue is now कि अब आपके पास पैट कमिंस के अलावा there are no frontline bowlers. Forget spinners, which they lacked last season as well. But even pacers like Bhuvneshwar Kumar, like Natarajan, will they be able to get them back in 45 crores when teams like Punjab have 110 CR? वो मुझे बस एक कंसर्न लगता है एसआरएच के लिए. दैट इज दी परहैप्स ओनली पॉइंट जहाँ पे हम लोग निट पिक करके एसआरएच को कुछ बोल भी सकते हैं. व्हाट आर योर थॉट्स ऑन दिस?
But Punjab Kings have to rebuild from scratch. I mean, they only have 2 retentions, right? And
correct.
And they are two uncapped retentions in that sense. So I think Punjab have a lot of work to do. So you can't really compare Punjab scenario. ऐसा लगता है कि उनके पास बहुत सारा पैसा है और they also have a lot of rebuilding to do. I mean हर एक साल अब IPL auction में देखते हो Punjab retains one or two players, so they every year is a rehash. So in that sense, कुछ surprising नहीं है that Punjab have gone for a overhaul again. But Sunrisers, I mean, sure, ऑक्शन में सब प्लेयर्स तो मार्की सेट में आएंगे नहीं. सो ऐसा नहीं है कि दे विल बी अ डिमांड. वो मार्की सेट में जितना प्लेयर्स आएंगे एंड लॉट ऑफ टीम्स विल लुक टू गेट देम अर्ली ऑन विद द फर्स्ट मूवर्स एडवांटेज. एज द ऑक्शन धीरे धीरे चलता जाएगा, द impulsive buys will also kind of reduce and teams will be a lot more calculative, a lot more strategic. So there are lots of fast bowling options. Bhuvneshwar Kumar has done well. I think it was 6 crores. I think was his contract last time around. I can't exactly remember now.
I am not sure. Yeah.
But yeah, it's आसपास वो amount के आसपास में ही होगा. So Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Natarajan is again there. Again, their own player who they look to get back. Mohit Sharma has done really well as in a second coming as a cricketer. Then just look at the outside the fringes of the Indian team itself. A lot of young fast bowlers. Navdeep Saini, Prasidh Krishna, Mukesh Kumar. So there are a lot of fast bowling options. Not everyone's going to command 10 crores plus. There will be some who may they may get for the steal. Lot and their scouting networks very very good. You have to give it to them. They have a great scouting system in place. They have an eye for talent. So probably they've unearthed somebody like Umran Malik, who unfortunately hasn't come on as well as you would have liked, given the talent that he has. And it was Sunrisers who unearthed him 4 years ago when he burst onto the IPL in 2020. I think one of the last games of the season where he came on and then impressed everyone with that raw pace. So yeah, I don't see that to be a worry at all. They've got their core in place. I'm sure they filling the gaps is not as big a challenge.
आई थिंक द ओनली प्रॉब्लम इज़ ये जो दो टीम्स हैं आरसीबी एंड पंजाब, जिनके पास बहुत ही ज़्यादा पैसा बचा हुआ है, ये दोनों टीम्स मिल के एसआरएच का पूरा ऑक्शन ख़राब कर सकते हैं. बिकॉज इनके पास पैसा इतना कम बचा है एसआरएच के पास, उनके पास दिमाग में कुछ ना कुछ टारगेट्स तो होंगे कि हमें इंडियन प्लेयर्स के पास जाना है, साथ में जाना है. एंड आरसीबी एंड
दूसरे टीम्स का भी स्ट्रेटेजी रहेगा ना कि एक प्लेयर का वैल्यू जो आरसीबी सबको पता है आरसीबी जाएंगे, उनका भी इन्फ्लेट करने के लिए. सो इट्स अगेन टू ब्रिंग दैट टू कोट, इट्स अ टू वे स्ट्रीट. So if I know that you want a certain player, I can just go and look to elevate the bids of that player, knowing fully well. ऐसा ही हुआ IPL में. If you actually look at it, in 2014 में, 14 or 15, I think 14, when Yuvraj Singh was released by RCB, and then
Right.
they went all out for him, and I think they ended up paying more than they released him for, right? 14 crore से आगे उनका bid गया. At
And
that
then he
point
went
in,
on to play for DC for even higher price.
and at that point in time, everyone was, criticizing RCB, saying, "What a stupid move this is!" A typical RCB at the auction. The butt of all jokes. ये वो करके सब लोग ने social media पे memes ये सब डालने लगे. But strategically, if you look at it, it was a great move by RCB to kind of elevate the bids because उनको पता था DC did not have a captain, or a DC did not have a captaincy material at that point in time, or somebody, a senior India batter who they desperately wanted. So they knew that DC will go all out for him. So whether RCB did, so I think it was a great move from them to have actually elevated the bids. Sometimes it can look stupid, but there is some nuance behind it, and social media makes you believe that everyone else is a fool except yourself, which is actually not true. There was a lot of nuance behind why RCB went hard at Yuvraj, trying to elevate his price and trying to outbid, trying to scuttle DC's plans. It happens sometimes, it doesn't happen other times, but yeah, it's a strategy. So to answer your question, I'm sure that other teams will also look to do the same with RCB. ऐसा नहीं है कि because Sunrisers के पास उतना पैसा नहीं है as much as RCB या पंजाब किंग्स have. ऐसा नहीं है कि they can just scuttle their plans.
I think that's a fair point, but teams like DC, Punjab and RCB, they can afford it. अगर SRH लंबी बिड मारती है एंड RCB छोड़ देती है प्लेयर को, 1 मार्क की साइनिंग एंड उनका पूरा बजट ही बिगड़ जाएगा. दे वोंट हैव एनी मनी लेफ्ट कि बाकी प्लेयर्स को कैसे लेके आए. सो आई
I think
थिंक
that
जो
also applies to the fact कि almost 5 teams के पास कम पैसा है.
That is exactly where you scout for players all year round and look at the domestic
या
system, look at the leagues, look at the structures. Rajat Patidar, for example, was a 20 lakh buy at the auction. Today is the retention material worth 11 crore. RCB had picked him from one domestic season, which he had a very good Mushtaq Ali, 2019 or 20, I think, and they picked him there. And look at where he is today. So that is where you build players. You build your core group of domestic players through your scouting system, and I think that's where the teams like Mumbai Indians have been setting the benchmark for a while now. And yeah, so I'm sure they will. That's why your teams will more and more look inwards, look at auction, look at the domestic leagues. So many leagues across the country today, the T20 leagues. Look at the Mushtaq Ali, look at the Vijay Hazare. This time they may not have a lot of input from the Mushtaq Ali because the auction we believe is towards the end of November, dates of which we don't know yet. Mushtaq Ali goes on till the 9th of December. So if the auction is end of December, then they may not have that much of a marker that they would have liked. But if you've tracked certain players through the year and see them evolve, and a lot of teams are using this long gap between the Diwali break that the Ranji Trophy teams have right now between the third round and fourth round of games. A lot of teams are conducting trials in this window as well. So yeah, when the budget's low or when you're working with a limited budget, then a lot of gaps can be filled through. So not everyone's going to be 10 crore or 20 crore, right? So maybe for 2 crore, you may end up signing 3 players. And yeah, so that's how it is.
One last thing on SRH. I think अगर हम लोग targets की बात करें, can we visualize a guy like Chahal or Ashwin or some other top marquee spinner going to SRH this time? Perhaps Washington सुंदर वापस आते हुए हमें देख सकते हैं. Do you think वो उनकी स्ट्रैटेजी होगी कहीं ना कहीं स्पिनर्स का हमें डिपार्टमेंट सॉर्ट करना है इस बार?
Yeah, last year I think they didn't have a proper off spinner if I remember correctly in their squad. Washington Sundar तो ज़्यादा खेले नहीं, but उनके अलावा तो off spinner नहीं थे. There was Mayank Markanday who was a leg spinner, but even he was like on and off. I don't think he played a lot of games. So spin was a bit of a area that Sunrisers needed to shore up, and I'm sure they'll have an eye on. I think मेरे ख्याल से युजवेंद्र चहल will have an outstanding auction. Probably his best ever auction is what I feel. I mean, considering the fact that he is one of the top IPL wicket takers, and even Rajasthan Royals के लिए he's been outstanding whenever he's been brought on through the last 3 years that he's been with him. He's had a terrific record. So I was mildly surprised that he wasn't part of their retention plans. But having said that, now that he's in the auction, I think it's all set for a massive kind of a bidding war for him. The dream scenario will, of course, be Yuzvendra Chahal reuniting with RCB and then everyone going, gaga about how this is a grand reunion, how he was left out all those years ago, return of the king or return of the son of the soil, whatever you can call it.
Under Virat's captaincy.
Then under whose captaincy, I don't know whether it is Virat or whether it is anyone else. But it was under Virat's captaincy that he flourished all those years ago as an uncapped 10 lakh purchase in 2014. And it's, his journey from there has just taken off, right? So I think he'll have a very, very good auction. So yeah, Ashwin and Chahal will definitely find a lot of interest. I mean, nothing compensates for class, and they proved that they're fit enough. Chahal's shown the hunger to go and perform outstandingly well in England in the county circuit. He's hasn't played a lot of red ball cricket, but he's actually done that this time around. He's now playing in the Ranji Trophy. He's doing really well. So yeah, Ashwin Chahal will have great auctions, I think.
अब सोचो अगर एक क्लिप इतनी बढ़िया थी तो पूरा का पूरा पॉडकास्ट कितना बढ़िया होगा।
तो अगर आपको इसी क्लिप का पूरा पॉडकास्ट देखना है तो यहाँ पे क्लिक करिए, और अगर आपको ऐसे ही और क्लिप्स बिंज वॉच करनी है तो यहाँ पे क्लिक करिए।